On this Thursday night, the first visit to Saudi Arabia by a Canadian Prime Minister in 26 years. The deals Mark Carney struck.
As we build our strength at home, we're also deploying it abroad.
Plus, what he avoided talking about and why. Checking up on Canada's wildfire season.
It really has not reached the scale seen in 2025.
The worries about what could make things worse. Giving the thumbs down what's behind the backlash to Meta's planned AI data center in Alberta. And 50 years of music with her remarkable voice. Remembering Bonnie Tyler and how she eclipsed people's hearts.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. In his efforts to expand Canada's trading relationships, Prime Minister Mark Carney is in Saudi Arabia. Already Canada's second largest trading partner in the Middle East, Carney says they've barely scratched the surface of the potential. The relationship, though, has been strained because of human rights issues. Carney is the first Canadian Prime Minister to go there in more than 2 decades. He says he wants to work with Saudi Arabia as it modernizes and transforms its economy. Mackenzie Gray is traveling with the Prime Minister.
It was a visit 26 years in the making. Mark Carney, the first Prime Minister since Jean Chrétien to come to Saudi Arabia, the latest stop on his diversification tour. Carney signing 13 agreements on things like mining, AI and energy, worth $1 billion. A less lucrative deal compared to what he struck in China, India and the UAE. And while new business was the core focus, Carney also attempting to distance himself from the Trudeau government, whose objections over the arrest of women's rights activists in Saudi spiraled into ambassadors being booted and trade stalling.
I do see that lecturing countries from afar is an ineffective strategy. It's satisfying, but it's ineffective.
While it might be ineffective to Carney, it wasn't for the Foreign Affairs Minister with her counterpart.
In my meetings, I always raise human rights, consular cases, and the need for respect for international law. And that is true today.
Carney wouldn't say if he raised human rights with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who numerous NGOs say runs a highly centralized police state where women are legally unable to get married without the permission of a male family member. The Saudi military has also been credibly accused of using their equipment to quell domestic protests, but that's not stopping Canada from opening a new defense trade office in Riyadh, all part of Carney's strategy.
Engagement can be effective. It doesn't mean it's always effective. It doesn't mean it's decisive, but it can be effective. We care deeply about human rights.
Mackenzie, this trip is about deepening trade relationships with Saudi Arabia, but you also asked the Prime Minister about how things are going with the U.S. President.
The Prime Minister was chatty at today's 30-minute press conference, Donna, except when I asked about a recent phone call between him and Donald Trump and their conversations at the NATO summit. So do you think you've made any progress with the President when it comes to trade?
I'll keep you posted.
On Gordie Howe Bridge, the U.S. ambassador has said that there are 2 issues the Americans have: control of the bridge and tolls. They want more money sooner. Are you willing to renegotiate the current agreement to make sure the bridge opens?
I think we're willing to clarify aspects of the current arrangements.
That is an unusually curt Mark Carney, and the lack of response on trade talks and the Gordie Howe Bridge opening seems like a sign that things might not be going very well with the Americans. You saw in my story that the Prime Minister had lots to say about the Saudis, despite the fact that Canada only does $4.5 billion annually in trade, the equivalent to less than 2 days of Canada-US trade. A stat that shows that Carney may want to diversify away from the US, Donna, but it will likely take decades to meaningfully pivot.
Okay, Mackenzie Gray in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, thanks. The Prime Minister flew to Saudi Arabia from the NATO summit in Turkey, and before he left, the Turkish president gave him and all the other leaders a surprising gift. They each got a handgun. Lithuania's president revealed the one he got with his name engraved on the barrel and 6 live rounds included in the box. The guns are made in Turkey, and the country's president wanted to showcase Turkey's defense industry, but what to do with it? Global Affairs Canada says the RCMP is having the weapon decommissioned so it can no longer fire, and the bullets were left behind in Turkey.
It struck me that my gift of maple syrup kind of undermatched the whatever it was, .357 caliber or whatever. I would like to reassure Canadians they keep guns away from me. So I never saw it.
The government says it will find a suitable home for the guns, such as a museum. Well, it remains unclear where the conflict between the U.S. and Iran is headed. The two traded intense attacks, even though neither country appears to want to return to all-out war. But as Jackson Prosco reports, they are also ready to keep punching to make their point.
As the ceasefire crumbles, the U.S. struck another 90 targets overnight, including Iranian air defenses and military sites near the Strait of Hormuz, a rail line linking Iran to Russia and China, and Iran claims the area near a key nuclear power plant. Once again, Iran fired back, targeting American military bases in the region with a volley of ballistic missiles.
I say we hit them 20-1. Every time they hit us, we're going to hit them 20.
Amid the tit-for-tat strikes, there's little sign either side is willing to step back and return to negotiations. Israel, America's partner in the war, said it's prepared to resume its military campaign against Iran with even greater force.
I think that the Iranians think they're in a position of tremendous advantage right now because they don't think President Trump has the will to sustain a campaign against them.
U.S. President Donald Trump insists he's willing to fight as long as needed, but says he still wants a long-term deal that would bring about a permanent ceasefire and free shipping through the Strait of Hormuz.
We have many ways we can win, but we've already won militarily. They have very little left, and they want to make a deal so badly.
Until that happens, international partners, including Canada, say they can't step up to help secure the strait.
Once the permanent ceasefire is in place, of course, as we have said, Canada will be better positioned to offer support in demining, in cyber expertise, and other logistics.
Whether either side has an appetite for a return to full conflict is unclear, but both the U.S. and Iran seem fully willing to adopt a slow and steady cycle of strikes and threats. Jackson Prosco, Global News, Washington.
3 of the 37 men charged with being part of a transnational gang based in India, accused of violent crimes, targeted shootings, and drug trafficking, appeared in BC Supreme Court today. Among the allegations is that they shipped truckloads of drugs across the U.S. border into Canada. A fourth suspect is having several of his properties seized by the BC government. Sarah McDonald was at the bail hearing in Vancouver.
Donna, the 3 BC men arrested on Tuesday as part of a multinational operation targeting alleged organized crime groups, all appeared in court in Vancouver today. Jaskarn Bongri, Ravinder Danda, and Gurtej Smog looking to regain their freedom with bail applications now underway. All 3 men were among 24 arrested Tuesday in a coordinated operation spanning 3 continents, targeting transnational organized crime groups with ties to India. Smog, Bongri, and Danda now all facing multiple charges in the United States, accused of coordinating an elaborate cross-border drug smuggling operation. An indictment unsealed in California Tuesday implicating cooperation from inside Canada Border Services Agency, alleging the men transported, smuggled, and distributed hundreds of kilograms of cocaine and methamphetamine each week from the U.S. into Canada, claiming Smog would gather information related to the timing and location of border inspections and other enforcement actions from an individual working for the CBSA. Gurinder Singh Dio from Vancouver, targeted on multiple drug charges in the operation. The province already going after his assets, filing a notice of civil claim on Wednesday demanding Dio forfeit property that is proceeds or instruments of unlawful activity to the government. Meantime, a lengthy legal process that begins with a bail hearing, then moves to extradition, is only just getting underway, Donna, here at BC Supreme Court, with these proceedings all set to continue next Thursday.
All right, Sarah McDonald at the courthouse in Vancouver, thanks. There is more dangerous weather across the southern prairies. Intense thunderstorms, possibly tornadoes are forecast. At least 2 touched down late yesterday at a campsite along the Alberta-Saskatchewan border.
Tornado on the ground. Tornado on the ground.
Storm chasers captured this video of one of the twisters. RCMP confirm at least 3 people were injured at a campsite. Several RVs and cabins were badly damaged. That kind of weather increases the risk of wildfires. In its quarterly update today, the federal government said there have been more fires this year than at the same point in 2025, though less area has been burned. As Jillian Piper reports, as fires in BC, the Northern Prairies, and Northwest Territories flare up, the worst of the season may be yet to come.
This was my home that I lived with my wife.
Saeed Mansouri lost everything after a wildfire ripped through his BC community.
Pictures and my poems. For 40 years writing, everything's gone.
This devastation spread throughout much of the once idyllic Blue Lake Resort, about 2.5 hours east of Vancouver.
It looks alien now. It looks wrong.
That damage from just one of the nearly 800 wildfires raging across the country. But the federal government says overall this summer's wildfire season looks manageable.
While this season remains challenging, it really has not reached the scale seen in 2025.
Last year saw one of the worst seasons on record, second only to the blazes in 2023. High temperatures and dry conditions mean Manitoba, Northern Ontario, Quebec, and large parts of the territories are all high risk.
Climate crisis that's burning our forests and threatening our kids' futures.
The Prime Minister acknowledges the problem, but admits his government will exceed targets meant to slow down the effects of climate change.
The changes we have made will mean that our emissions will be higher in the next few years than they were projected to be.
The Liberals dismissing concerns that increased emissions, in part from a yet-to-be-built oil pipeline in BC backed by the federal government, will intensify wildfires.
We have a practical path that is going to ensure that those emissions are reduced in the long term.
But that path is unclear to some environmental advocates.
This federal government has decided to take a wrecking ball to Canada's climate plan and fast-track fossil fuel projects that are ultimately driving this crisis.
Senior government officials would not say whether they believe Canada has enough resources to fight wildfires across the country, as the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs reports a deficit of roughly 15,000 firefighters nationwide. Donna?
Okay, Jillian Piper in Ottawa, thanks. The heat is on in Europe. Coming up, how people are surviving as temperatures soar.
We believe that for the movement to continue, it can't be made. We are suspending campaign operations.
That is Democratic candidate Graham Plattner announcing he's stepping back from the U.S. Senate race in Maine. His campaign has faced a lot of controversy, including reports of offensive social media posts, infidelity, and a tattoo of a Nazi symbol. The tipping point appears to have been a sexual abuse allegation revealed Monday. Though he denies it, he is bowing out. The Democrats now have until July 27th to name a replacement. The race is seen as crucial to the Democrats' hopes of regaining control of the Senate. Europe is sweltering again, and scientists say last month was the hottest June ever recorded there. Millions across Western Europe are caught in extreme heat again. Temperatures in places like Spain are hitting a sweltering 40.7 degrees Celsius, the highest figure in 112 years of record keeping. The UN says Europe is now the fastest warming continent, and as Vincent McAviney reports, surviving it and adapting to it is not easy.
These penguins may be getting a royal visit, but the other animals in London Zoo are likely more jealous of their aquatic habitat this week, with temperatures in the UK hitting the high 30s again. Britain isn't used to having this sustained level of extreme weather, with little air conditioning and older buildings and homes designed more for heat retention in the winter.
Our infrastructure system is definitely built for, 12 degrees, up to 15 degrees maybe, and now you're on the Bakerloo line and it's like 38 degrees. Everyone's looking quite worse for wear.
We're going to have to get used to it and start doing more, because with climate change and things like that, this is not a one-off anymore. We have this now pretty much every year.
In Valencia, Spain, trees were soaked in the hopes of stopping wildfires from sparking. In Seville, temperatures have risen to over 40 degrees. While in Madrid, tourists are doing what they can to enjoy the capital in the high 30s.
We came yesterday, and definitely Madrid heat is not bad. Sevilla was around 42, 43 centigrade. I'm from Canada, Toronto, so way different.
In Paris, celebrities including Cate Blanchett and Cynthia Erivo look to be struggling in the sunshine during outdoor Fashion Week shows. The government is set to hold an emergency meeting on Friday as national infrastructure struggles, including a French nuclear power plant near Toulouse, which has had to shut down its reactor due to the heat. EU scientists confirmed today that last month was the hottest June in Western Europe on record and the second hottest June globally. With these conditions becoming increasingly common, European policymakers are having serious conversations about the need to upgrade infrastructure to cope. Vincent McAviney, Global News, London.
Is the plan for Canada's first hyperscale data centre a win? Ahead, a look at the test case in Alberta. A supersized data centre plan for Alberta will be a first for Canada. Meta plans to build it north of Edmonton and promises billions of dollars of investment. Both Alberta and the federal government, anxious to develop AI infrastructure in Canada, see it as a win. Yet south of the border, more American jurisdictions are either hitting pause on similar plans or pushing back on them entirely. Heather Yurix-West explains why.
Alberta is often called the Texas of the North, but on the topic of AI data centers, the cowboy culture hubs aren't exactly aligned.
Alberta is the ideal North American spot for data centers.
We must prohibit them from building AI data centers in rural Texas neighborhoods.
The different tones from the two conservative leaders likely come from the fact that on the AI data center trail, Texans and Americans in general have been ahead of the herd. According to an analysis by York University, Canada has just over 200 data centers actively operating, with another 264 in various stages of development. Compare that to the U.S., where there are currently more than 2,000 active data centers, with another 4,000 in development. But problems with these centers have led 15 states to consider banning them, or at least put growth plans on pause.
It is about global tech giants, some of the richest corporations on earth, looking for cheap land, massive tax breaks, and guaranteed access to energy.
We have learned through the havoc that social media was able to create within our country that these companies can't regulate themselves.
However, AI consultant Mohit Rajans doesn't believe bans are the right path. Instead, he says Canadian jurisdictions need to ensure strong regulations are in place, with frequent audits along the way.
There are cautionary tales in the United States of several jurisdictions that rushed in, embraced these projects, did no due diligence. We didn't want to be the first ones to build this infrastructure. We wanted to be the smartest.
Alberta says the Meta data center will be built in an area designed to host oil refineries, drawing power from a natural gas power plant to be built nearby. The hyperscale project serving as a test case, the province hopes will be the first of many more to come. Heather Yurix-West, Global News, Calgary.
The extraordinary career and voice of Bonnie Tyler, next paying tribute to an 80s pop legend. Back in the 1980s, power ballads were all the rage, and when it came to belting them out, few did it better than Bonnie Tyler. The Grammy-nominated singer's career spanned more than 50 years. At 75, she was still performing, up until recently. Her family says she died unexpectedly on Wednesday as a result of the illness she was being treated for. Heidi Petracek looks at Tyler's talent and the power of that voice.
Every now and then I fall apart.
Who can forget those lines? Bonnie Tyler's Total Eclipse of the Heart defined the 80s sound.
Nothing I can do, a total eclipse of the heart.
Total Eclipse of the Heart was #1 in just about every country in the world.
Born Gaynor Hopkins in a small Welsh village, she started pursuing music as a teen and saw her career take off in 1976 with this. If you're wondering where her signature husky voice is, that came later, a side effect of vocal cord surgery.
It's a heartache.
I don't know if a person like Bonnie Tyler
could get a major label record deal today with a voice like that. But back then, we had these eccentric sort of sounding singers.
By 1985, Tyler had received 3 Grammy nominations, and her music was everywhere, including on movie soundtracks like Footloose. The advent of the internet introduced her most iconic hit to new audiences, and it popped up in parodies. Commercials, TV shows, and movies.
Every now and then I fall apart.
And when a literal eclipse came around, Tyler was more than happy to belt out her best-known ballad.
Total eclipse of the heart.
If you're lucky as an artist, you get a song that just keeps on giving for the rest of your career. And this is exactly what happened with Bonnie Tyler.
Performing was Tyler's passion, and she kept doing it until an emergency surgery in May. Her family says she died Wednesday unexpectedly while still in hospital. In her memoir, Tyler wrote that even with her extraordinary career, she would always be, quote, that young girl from Wales dancing around a piano with her family. Bonnie Tyler was 75 years old.
And that is Global National for this Thursday. I'm Donna Friesen. Tonight's Your Canada is Aspie Bay near Sugarloaf, Nova Scotia. We would love to see your Canada. Please email it to globalnational@globalnews.ca. And thanks for watching. Jeff Semple will be at the anchor desk tomorrow, and I will see you again on Monday. Bye-bye.